Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a science fiction drama film, Solaris. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. Chris is a psychologist who has gained prestige in helping out his patients. One night, several unknown men visit Chris and bring him a videotape recorded by Jibarian, his best friend who works at a scientific research space station over the planet Solaris. In the videotape, Jibarian tells Chris that he and other crew members have fallen into a tricky situation and they are all suffering. The best way for them to deal with the situation is to leave the station. But none of the others agree. Jibarian believes Chris can help them get through their sufferings with his expertise. Chris doesn't really know what has happened, as what Jibarian says in the video is quite evasive. Later, Chris learns that when the security force were approaching Solaris to help them, they completely lost contact with Earth and haven't returned by far. After careful consideration, Chris decides to start his journey to Solaris Station. Upon his arrival, Chris finds the station is so quiet that he doesn't see anyone there. After a whole tour of it, Chris feels weird, as there are bloodstains all over a corner. He follows the stains leading to a lab, where he finds 2 dead bodies, and one belongs to Jibarian. Chris is shocked, having no idea how Jibarian died and what he had gone through. Then suddenly Chris hears a series of loud noises coming from one of the rooms. Following the sounds, Chris finds Snot in the control room, whom Chris knew before. However, when Chris asks about what happened to Jibarian, Snot becomes quite evasive. He only tells Chris that they shot the security force when they got in, and that Jibarian committed suicide. Besides Snot, there is another crew member, the physicist, who seems quite nervous and avoids eye contact with Chris. But she also tells Chris that Jibarian killed himself. Chris wants to know more details, but the physicist refuses to mention anymore. As the two who have experienced it themselves are unwilling to talk about it, Chris doesn't know what he should do next. Then, he notices a boy at the station who runs away immediately when seeing Chris. It turns out that he is Jibarian's son, who seems to have stayed at the station for a long time and knows the station quite well. Chris tries again to get some clues from the physicist. This time the physicist tells him that she comes to Solaris to evaluate the development potentials of the planet Solaris. However, somehow people at the station started to act abnormally. They became irritable and suffered from psychosis and serious insomnia. Therefore, the physicists started to do experiments on the water, food and even the air, trying to find out what caused their abnormal behaviors, but nothing has been found yet. They only know that there exists a kind of creature that is much superior than humans, and its mysterious powers supposed to be responsible for the crew's abnormal behaviors. The first night Chris spends at the station is quite different from the usual. He has a dream in which he meets his late wife Rheya, and the two soon experience a passionate reunion. The wife's death really gave Chris a big blow. He suffered it for a long time. Back to the reality from the dream, however, he's shocked to find that Rheya appears in his sleeping quarters, hugging and kissing him. But no one knows how she got there, neither does Rheya herself. Rheya's last piece of memory is about their home, which is quite dark. In order to see whether the Rheya in front of him really exists, Chris asks her where they first met. And although Rheya gives him the correct answer, Chris is still not sure about whether he should trust her. Actually, deep inside Chris's mind, he knows the woman in front of him can't be his late wife. Therefore, he coaxes Rheya into a capsule and launches her into outer space. It is not an easy decision for him, as there is only one destiny waiting for Rheya outside: death. Just when Chris is blaming himself for being so ruthless, Snot comes and tells Chris it's normal that someone close will visit him the first night here, and that someone is actually not the real person. Snot also had his brother as the visitor before, but he hasn't shown up recently. By now, Chris finally realizes what they have been suffering at the station. They cannot sleep and dream well, as those who they have deep bonds with will repeatedly appear right in front of them. That night, Chris lays back on the bed, hoping that there will be no more dreams. However, nobody can take control of their nerve actions. Chris dreams about Rheya again, and his happy marriage proposal to Rheya. As expected, Rheya shows up in reality when he wakes up. This time, Chris is unwilling to push Rheya out into space again. He loves Rheya so deeply that he wants to be with her, no matter what happens, and who she really is. Luckily, the new Rheya doesn't remember what happened before. Through the window, Rheya looks at the planet Solaris, and many memories start to flood back to her. She recalls that she lost confidence in life, and committed suicide after a fierce quarrel with Chris. Though Chris soon regretted leaving Rheya alone at home, and soon returned home, he found Rheya already dead, which has since become his incubus. So now, Chris decides to accept Rheya to compensate his fault and guilt. The physicist, however, has been continuously studying those replica visitors, and trying to destroy them completely at the station. Moreover, she is strongly against Chris's idea to take the replica Rheya back to Earth, which she believes is definitely a nightmare to those innocent humans, and may cause people to go crazy and kill each other. Chris argues that those superior creatures on Solaris won't bother to make them recall their deepest memories if they want to harm humans. However, the physicist still stands her ground, and will never let Chris take Rheya back to Earth. So she blabs to Rheya that Chris sent her away into space before, causing Rheya to fall into great pain. The physicist then tells Chris it's a mistake to become emotionally engaged with Rheya, who is not human at all, but only a mirror reflecting upon his mind. The physicist also had such a visitor before, and she destroyed it, as she believes it's beyond human morality. The physicist and Chris keep arguing about whether Rheya is a replica or not, but neither of them can persuade the other. Chris's situation becomes worse every time he wakes up from sleep. And this time he sees his best friend, Jibarian. He poses a profound question to Chris, whether Chris himself is a human, or just a puppet trapped inside a human body. Chris becomes even more confused by his words. He asks Jibarian why he killed himself, and why he left his son alone. To Chris's shock, Jibarian says that he just did the right thing at that time, and neither his wife nor his son is real. Besides, he asks Chris to stop thinking about what Solaris wants from them, and stop trying to find a solution, or he will die there. Actually, there is no answer, but only personal choice. But Chris doesn't want to give up on Rheya like that, so he is determined to figure out the answer. When Chris wakes up again, both Jibarian and Rheya disappear. Later, he finds Rheya lying on the ground, already dead after drinking liquid oxygen. He immediately takes Rheya back to the rest area, and then something unbelievable happens. Rheya comes back to life after a series of convulsions, and the wounds over her body miraculously heal. It seems like the hallucinated Rheya in front of them will never die physically, because she lives in Chris's deep mind, and can be generated endlessly by the unknown power from Solaris. Whether to activate the rebirth process actually depends on Chris himself. Waking up and finding herself back to life again, Rheya is desperate. But actually there is one way that can eliminate the replica visitor completely, which is to use the device called Annihilator, invented by the physicist. And she has already tested its effectiveness on her own visitor before. They all know that Rheya is not a real human, and all that has happened is Chris's imagination, existing in his mind. The reason why Rheya kept trying to kill herself is also due to his memory that the real Rheya is dead. The thing that Chris desperately wants to make it up for Rheya drives him to nearly lose his mind, and forget all about his real mission at the station. While the rest believe that the only way to deal with it is to destroy Rheya completely, so as to take Chris out of his hallucination, and prevent him from bringing the replica Rheya to Earth. Struggling, Chris is so tired that he finally falls asleep. His mind drifts back to the night Rheya killed herself. And when he wakes up, he sees a video made by Rheya, in which she bids her last farewell, and tells Chris that she's made her final choice, and it's better for him that way. Rheya knows that she reads his personal stuff, and figures out she's not the human Rheya, though she can feel her love towards Chris. Chris is furious and questions the physicist why she does that to Rheya. The physicist says it was Rheya's request, and she has no right to say no. And now they regain connection with Earth, and can finally return to Earth. However, when looking up at the ceiling, Chris notices some bloodstain there. He opens it, and finds a dead body, who turns out to be the human Snot. The Snot at the station now is actually a replica, generated and controlled by Solaris. And the replica Snot replaced the human Snot by killing him. The physicist thinks they may use the Annihilator to terminate the replica Snot, who however, tells them that it is impossible for them to kill him, as there is no enough energy left to activate the Annihilator. What's more, the station is getting too closer to the gravitational field of Solaris, allowing Solaris and its puppet, the replica Snot, to affect the crew members easily. In a panic, Chris and the physicist try to find a way to get rid of the replica Snot, but to no avail. As the station is pulled towards Solaris by its strong gravity, the physicist and Chris head to a space lifeboat, planning to escape the station. However, Chris gives up the idea of boarding the boat. He chooses to stay behind instead. Back in the station, Chris is suffering and on the verge of losing his mind. He then meets Jiberian's replica son, helping him to get up. Later, he finds himself brought back to his home on Earth, where he's astonished to see his cutting wounds on his finger healing up in no time. And also, coming back home, Rheya, who assures him that all they have ever done is forgiven, and they no longer have to struggle between life and death. All of which implies that Chris has also been turned into a replica, controlled by the mysterious power of the planet Solaris. And because of that, he can stay with Rheya forever. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Peace out.